Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
Thanks, Alan. This is David Brower with part 2 of our interview with our special guest, Judy Gaman.
The number one indicator of whether people were going to be alive at the end of this study, it was a longitudinal study, was their social interactions. Were they social, and did they have friends, and were they doing things with other people? And this, I think, is the first time that this has really come out and in the forefront as much. And part of it is because we've become addicted to our phones and our computers, and we think that a friend is someone who hits the like button on a social media, or
that's right.
Shares a post or what have you. We've got to get back to real human interaction. There's a reason that we have all of these cell receptors, all these nerve receptors, touch receptors on our body, because we're supposed to be giving people hugs and patting them on the back and talking to them, and there's things that go on in the brain when you actually look at another human being's face and have a conversation in live time. And they've used functional MRI to realize that doing that on the computer doesn't change the brain. This has to happen in real time, and we've got to make sure that we're having these relationships with our kids, with our spouse, with our friends, with our family. We have to. It's critical to our survival.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I remember when I retired from a marketing job a few years ago, and by profession, I'm a voice actor, so I sit in the studio all day and record stuff and send it out, whatever. And as I moved into this full-time, my wife says, now be careful, because you don't want to give up that social aspect of your life. You don't want to have a vitamin D deficiency. And I'm as much as an introvert as I've always been, I realize the importance of social interaction and having my friends. And so when I retired, I even got a dog because I knew the dog would help me get out more, be more social, and I could look at her in the face, And and then getting back into really having a few close friends, not a ton, but a few close friends, and being able to interact with them at least on a twice a week basis makes all the difference in the world to me.
Well, guys used to sit around the barber shop, or they used to go down to the coffee shop.
Right.
And we've got to get back into that. I love when I see a group of friends gathered together, and whether they're sharing a meal or just a cup of coffee or something. And I'm just I'm thinking, gosh, you're doing so much good for yourself, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
just having this conversation, and then of course it's the unloading. It's that being able to have a conversation, and even if you're not telling your woes, but somebody else is just there, and you're able to help them, which that's a whole nother thing that goes into longevity. Just that camaraderie, just that, hey, I'm not in this alone.
Yeah. Everybody
has their struggles, and we're all in this together. That is critical, which of course leads me right into doing things for other people. And there's been lots and lots and lots of research on this, that when you are out and you are helping others, you're serving others truly with nothing to get back, right?
Right.
So a lot of times people that are in the health industry say, I help people all day long. But they've actually shown that when you're doing it, but you're doing it as a job, or you're doing it for some other particular reason, it actually doesn't affect the brain and the body the same way it does when you're doing it just because. When there's absolutely nothing to get back, you're only out there helping and doing just from the goodness of your heart. It actually is completely different biologically, physiologically on the body. And we have to remember to do those things. Besides that, it makes you feel good, right?
Well, it does. One of the things we do, we've been in a Bible study group for 14 years. We meet once a week. There's, I think, 12 of us at the most. I think we're down to about 7 or 8 now, but 4 or 5 of us have been in the same group. And that's wonderful, not only for the Bible study part, but most of the time it's social interaction. We're talking to each other, we're caring about each other. Somebody has an issue, it's a safe environment so they can share their vulnerability and know that it's going to be safe. And then people can share their encouragement. And having a safe environment to be able to whether it's Bible study or sitting at the barbershop, having a safe environment to where you can share your vulnerabilities, I think has got to be a big deal as well.
Oh, right up there. Right up there. Going back to that BYU study, I would say that's right up there with that social interaction.
Yeah.
Really important, really important. Now we have the ability to measure telomeres, and I don't know if you might have seen, they've had some commercials on this. I'm not sure how they do it. We do a telomere test at Executive Medicine of Texas. It's sent out, and we get it back in about 2 weeks. But they actually can measure the telomeres, which are the tips on the chromosomes, and as these actually shorten, that means you're aging, right? So we can look on a cellular level and be able to tell you, hey, you know what, you are 62 chronologically, but 58 inside, or
gotcha.
75
or the other way around,
inside,
yeah.
Right. But the reason that we do it is not to frighten people. And people sign up and say they want to do this because it sometimes can be a very educational tool, especially if you have someone who's done some poor or is in the middle of doing some poor lifestyle habits. Maybe they're a drinker, maybe they're a smoker, maybe they have diabetes and they just aren't taking it quite as serious as they should be, or pre-diabetes. When you show them this,
wow.
Hey, here's what's going on, black and white. You got some changes to make, or hey, you're doing a great job. You need to keep on the pace you're already going because everything you're doing is great. That's a huge tool because it goes back to that one size does not fit all. It is really about personalized medicine.
So how do you? I mean, that to me that sounds like, well, how do I do that? It's not something that's, at least in my experience, not overly publicized or talked about or whatever. This is the first time I've heard that term, to be honest with you. But yet it intrigues me. And so I'm curious, how available is that, or is it? Is it isolated cases?
I think because it's not something covered by insurance, you have to get into practices that are basic cash-based preventative medicine type practices, and they have those tests available. SpectraCell's a lab that does it, and they are internationally recognized. They're terrific. They've really been on the cutting edge of a lot of this. And ironically, we signed up with them as one of our labs for Executive Medicine Texas because we saw, what they were doing, and when they were doing this with a lot of university hospitals and then some of these higher end practices. And when we all signed up ourselves and went through that ourselves, we did that, and then we did the micronutrient testing, which means we actually looked inside of ourselves to see there's like 27 different nutrients and vitamins and minerals and such, and our body's actually absorbing it. You mentioned vitamin D earlier. That's just one of them. There's some trace minerals, but it's really amazing to see. Oh my gosh, I thought I had enough vitamin C. I don't. So you can change your diet. You can go on supplements. Maybe it's a combination of both, depending on what level it was. But what we see in a lot of times in this country is you go to the doctor and you say, I don't know, I'm feeling down. Oh, have you been sad lately? Yeah, I've been sad. Are you sleeping well? No, not really. They write you a prescription for antidepressants.
Exactly.
Never, ever checking your vitamin D level, your B12 levels. Some of these things that are so easy to fix, gosh, and instead we go on antidepressants, and when we go on the antidepressants, you're depleting other nutrients, and it's a vicious cycle. You can't get off of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, I have a great doc it's interesting because when we sit down to discuss whatever's going on in my life, he systematically jots everything down on a piece of paper and all of his ideas and all of his thoughts and all the different directions and options that we could talk about. And so then we go through them one by one. Well, if we do this, that could lead to that. If we do this, that could lead to that. So why don't we do that? Because that won't lead to anything. And it's just a brilliant way for me to communicate with my doc, have confidence in my doc, and know that he's not jerking me around,
Well, man, it's so true. Your doctor sounds like a chess player. My husband's a physician
there you go.
and a chess player as well.
Yeah.
And he always is thinking, if this, then what? But we need more of that. We need more of, thinking about the long-term consequences. I'll give you one real easy. Everyone's going to recognize, right? It's these PPIs, all the Prilosec, all these things that we take for heartburn, right? A lot of them went over the counter.
Right.
They've got celebrities saying, "Oh, you should take it," right? "Oh, I've been taking it forever." Well, I don't know if you noticed, but all the "I've been taking it forever" stuff kind of went away because there's been some new research coming out that long-term use of these PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, is actually causing kidney damage. So irreversible kidney damage.
Right.
So what we've done, instead of saying, okay, let's find a way to control your indigestion, your acid reflux, let's start by changing your diet. And let's go the natural route. There's certain things you can put into your diet that will change the acidity of your stomach acid. Why aren't we doing that instead of just throwing a pharmaceutical out there? Because once you throw a pharmaceutical, it's that whole chain effect. What next? If this, then that. So, man, I'm so glad to hear that your physician takes that approach. I really, really wish we had more physicians doing that. Unfortunately, in the HMO world, as I like to call it, or the treadmill, the treadmill of medicine. A lot of times the doctor has one hand on the door, and if you have another question, you better get it out quick because they're headed on to the next person.
Yeah, they only have a 3.5 minute window. So
that's right. Your appointment is from 1:57, sir, until 2:03.
Right.
Go.
That's right. That's the other thing I like about my doc is however long it takes is how long it takes. And, and I think we all as patients appreciate that personal touch. It's really, 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 really important for your attitude and your health. I know I had what's it called? Reflux. There we go.
Reflux. Uh-huh.
I had reflux for a while. In fact, my mom had it so bad that she was drinking like a bottle of Maalox twice a day. It was disgusting. And but I had it for a while, and they put me on whatever it was they put me on, and it was just counterproductive. I would be sitting there in my chair. I would feel an acid reflux thing coming on. If I didn't run into the bedroom and lay down, I was gonna pass out. I was gonna faint. And it just scared the crap out of me. And so I told the doc, I said, I'm not doing this. Here's what's happening. He said, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. So what do you want to do? I said, I'm getting rid of tomatoes.
Good
really?
For you. That should have been the first thing.
I know. I'm getting rid of tomatoes.
Yeah, coffee, tomatoes. I mean, there's a whole
I was fine.
Dark chocolate. There's a whole list of things that if you suffer from this, you should kind of back out of your diet.
Right. And take them one at one. What I learned was you take out one at a time and. Okay, that's okay. Take out another one. Oh, crap, that's the one, Yeah,
exactly. And then, after you do this elimination, you can, if you eliminate them too quickly and you're not quite sure which one, if you're going to introduce them, only introduce them one at a time.
There you go.
Because, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, good call. Well, you are living a dream, aren't you? You're touching a lot of people. You're paying it forward. You're taking care of your own self and your family. And do you sleep like 3 hours a night, or what do you do?
I tell you, I got to get my sleep in. That's one thing, especially, knowing my genetics, I make it a priority. It's at least 7.5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. It's critical. It's on my calendar as if it was the most important appointment of the day.
Nice. And I didn't realize I had sleep apnea until we were going through all these tests for different things. And my doc says, maybe we ought to test you for this. And so we did, and I went in, and it turns out that I was waking up, I want to say, 47 times an hour.
Wow.
And so they put me on a CPAP machine, and it went down to 6 times an hour. And I sleep solid for 7.5 hours every night. It's like the greatest gift ever. And I'm going, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? Because I just really didn't know I had it,
Yeah, I bet your mental acuity just is so much better. I can't even imagine how hard it was to concentrate when your brain wasn't shutting off.
You're right.
I got to tell you this because this really applies to you. They did a functional MRI study, and they found that when we sleep, our brain is like a washing machine. It actually goes in and it scrubs and washes and gets rid of all the plaques and the things that cause dementia and all these other issues. But if we don't get into that deep REM sleep, because that's when the whole washing machine thing takes place, if we don't get into that deep REM sleep and stay in it, then that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're on a CPAP and you're getting that deep REM sleep and you're scrubbing your brain is just so incredibly wonderful that you found what it was and you've corrected the problem.
It's a life changer.
And I urge all of your listeners, if you're not sleeping well or you're tired, you wake up, you think you slept all night, and you wake up and you're still tired, get to your doctor.
Yeah.
Ask about sleep apnea. People die from it.
And I'm a proactive CPAP talker. I talk to my friends and kids and whatever about it because it's just a life changer for me. So.
Well, Justice Scalia, that's what happened to him. He didn't take a CPAP with him. A lot of people that kind of just got, that's what got swept under the rug. But that was the end result. Yeah, he died in his sleep, but he died in his sleep because he forgot his CPAP. Yeah,
when I got mine, they gave me a carrying case for it, and it has a tag on it so that it doesn't count as luggage.
Oh, yep. That's good. They don't want any reason for you not to take it.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed this. We've covered a lot of arenas, and we've gone about 15 minutes over, and I could care because I'll just turn this into a two-part podcast. But it's just been such a kick to talk to you about all these things, and I hope people are paying attention and are learning things from you. Your award-winning books include Age to Perfection, How to Thrive to 100, Happy, Healthy, and Wise, and Stay Young, 10 Proven Steps to Ultimate Health, and coming out your memoir about Lucille, who was 104. And that's coming out pretty soon, huh? Love, Life, and Lucille?
Yeah, Love, Life, and Lucille should be out by the end of the year. Mm-hmm.
And people need to go to your website, which is judygaman.com. Is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yep.
Judy Gaman, GAMAN.com, and you can learn all kinds of things about what Judy does and how you can interact with her and hopefully change your life along the way. And do you counsel people? How do you interact with people to help them follow your advice?
Yeah, if someone can reach out to me through my website, there is a Contact Us page there. And then, of course, at Executive Medicine of Texas, where I am most of the days, they can also go to emtexas.com. We see people from all over the globe for half-day exams and real true plans on how to live longer and stay healthier for as many years as they possibly can.
And you have your own radio show nationwide. How can people listen to that if they're traveling around or what have you? Are you on Sirius? Or?
Yeah, it's called Staying Young Show. We're on 57 stations across the nation.
Nice.
And you can go to stayyoungamerica.com to see the stations in your area. Or if you're a podcast person, once the show has aired on all our stations, it actually goes under Staying Young Show 2.0, and you can download all kinds of shows and daily medical minutes. So little quick tips.
That is awesome. Wow, you are using the social media to everybody's advantage. That's pretty sweet. Not everybody gets that.
Well, when you can't change the whole world, but if you can influence somebody to make a good, healthy decision, the day's been a good day.
Hey, you take your life one step at a time. You help somebody else one step at a time, and raise your attitude and pay it forward. You got some pretty good stuff there.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
My pleasure, Judy. Judy Gaman, judygaman.com, GAMAN. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Your 20-minute podcast with David Brower has been brought to you by Audible. You can listen to any of David's podcasts anywhere podcasts can be found, including iHeartRadio, the Spotify mobile app, and at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.